to the Pilates Qigong mix. Yeah, this one's called, well, I've heard it called yin and yang circles or yang circles. But again, it's just basically a bit of motion because we're not doing it the traditional way with the Qigong breathing. This is a Pilates Qigong mix with the Pilates breathing in first, and then we just take it in the movement, whatever the Qigong movement is. So this is yang circles or whatever. So basically it's just putting the hand behind the back, and again you're sort of creating an S, like this sort of yin and yang sign, this sort of S shape thing really. But again, it could be any movement really. Just kind of a little bit of instability. We're going to take it for the pelvic floor, and you go down as deep or as high as you like. I'll go through all that modifications, etc., modifying it. But before we start these motions and mix it to breath, again, it'd be very simple breath, just basically out breath all the way through and then starting again. But again, let's just get it statically, the breath, to get that Pilates breath, the opposite of the traditional Qigong. So all we're going to do is zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals. Then muscles go together. Can't do one without the other. Zip up pelvic floor, scoop out your abdominals. Basically take your navel in towards the spine. Like I say, the traditional breathing to belly like a balloon, we're taking it in this way. So we gather and get that corset muscle. And while you're there, you'll feel the breath go anywhere but your belly button. And that's going to help us use our core muscle, our corset muscle, the transverse abdominis, in the most efficient manner. Helping us breathe right now, naturally, into these lower lobes of lungs, because there's nowhere else the breath to go apart from into these lower lobes of lungs. Okay, so zip up pelvic floor, scoop out your abdominals right now, and simply breathe in through the nose whenever you like, and exhale through pursed lips. So you're sort of blowing out a candle through pursed lips as you still zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals right now. Keep breathing in through the nose whenever you like, and exhaling through pursed lips. You're sort of blowing out a candle through pursed lips as you still zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals. Just simply allowing that simplicity to relax the mind. Allow that to relax the mind at will. As you zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals, simply allow that simplicity to relax the mind as you breathe in through the nose whenever you like, and exhale through pursed lips. So you're sort of blowing out a candle through pursed lips. Lovely. And as you're doing that right now, to see where that breath's going into them lower lobes of lungs, to reinforce that in our mind, we're going to get our two middle fingers touching just to see where the breath's going into them lower lobes of lungs. Two middle fingers touching underneath what we call the xiphoid process, the sternum, the breastbone. Okay, a little soft part underneath the sternum, the breastbone, palms on the lower lobes of lungs. Get these shoulders down, and you're going to carry on zipping up pelvic floor and scooping out the abdominals and breathing in through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips. And I'm overemphasising there, but you can see the two middle fingers are slightly parting and coming back to touch each other. It might be a millimetre, a centimetre, doesn't matter. As you zip up pelvic floor and scoop out the abdominals, that breath, as you can feel now, goes anywhere but our belly buttons, but goes into these lower lobes of lungs, into costals, the ribs, anywhere but the stomach. So much so your two middle fingers slightly part and come back to touch each other. Just adding width to your lungs as you breathe in, and length of the out breath as you exhale through pursed lips. So if you're blowing out that candle through pursed lips, then fingers are just moving like seaweed on the bottom seabed to the sides and back. Lovely. What we call lateral thoracic breathing in Pilates. That helps us use our pelvic floor and our corset muscle in the most efficient manner, helping us breathe right now anywhere but our belly button, but keep breathing in to them lower lobes of lungs, into costals, the ribs, anywhere but your stomach. That'll naturally do that for you anyway. With this, you'll see that's happening right now as you're zipping up pelvic floor and scooping out your abdominals Breathing in through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips. Just feeling them two middle fingers moving like seaweed on the bottom of the seabed. Be a millimetre, a centimetre, wherever it is. But that breath right now is going into these fish gills, 3D style. Keep breathing in organ deep. Cell deep, even bone marrow deep. Into them lower lobes of lungs. The intercostals, the ribs, anywhere but the stomach. Lovely. And with that exhale, you just let the hands down now as you're breathing into them fish gills, wide and full, as though someone's opening an umbrella inside your rib cage and letting go. Or someone's just pushing out from inside your ribs and letting go. Okay, that lovely, free, expansive breath. And again, that's going to allow you to use the pelvic floor and the corset muscle in the most efficient manner, helping us breathe right now anywhere but your belly buttons. So again, as you're doing that still, you can just get these thumbs here on the ribs, the hips even, all the way round there. That'll show you where the B-line, bikini line, belt line is, and that separates the pelvic floor, lower, and your corset muscle, 3 layers deep, is above that B-line, the transverse abdominis, the corset muscle that supports the spine. So as you tuck in and zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals, you can see their muscles go together around this B-line. Again, pelvic floor's lower. And explain the pelvic floor as you're on a long journey, you want to go to the toilet and you stop yourself going, that's your pelvic floor. The corset muscle is 3 layers deep, wrapping around your spine right now. Okay, again, as you tuck in, you engage that, and again, that joins on this B line, bikini line, belt line, whatever you want to call it, like cling film, 3 layers deep. So if you, like I've just done, cough, everything comes in, you can feel the pelvic floor and the corset go together. That lets you know that's happening together. Even if you carry on zipping up pelvic floor and scooping out your abdominals, if you breathe in, keep this B line here, and you exhale, nice forcefully exhale through pursed lips. That'll act like that cough or sneeze. That'll actually help everything coming towards the spine. Towards the spine. That exhale helps you throw on that corset and zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals naturally. So again, you just let the hands go. That's more for a bit of an awareness as you're doing this. That'll help that be even more efficient than it already is, with that awareness what's going on. Because sometimes, it's a bit like an amnesia. If you don't know they're there, you always use them to the most efficient fashion. If you know they're there, you'll use them in the most efficient fashion by just knowing their muscles are there. Lovely. As you keep zipping up pelvic floor and scooping out your abdominals, just let go of that and allow that simplicity to relax the mind as you can feel what's going on. Breathing in through the nose, follow a journey all the way in through the nose, and exhaling through pursed lips. Lovely. Remember that resonant out breath works like a cough or a sneeze, and actually helps us zip up pelvic floor and scoop out your abdominals without even trying not to try. So we're going to add that to motion. Again, you take the hand behind the back. Again, it helps a little bit of flexibility in the rotor cuff muscles. The rotor cuff muscles, teri minor, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, you don't have to know that. Even the scapularis there out the back. But again, there's a few rotor cuff muscles, but that's just like a little bit of flexibility thing. When you've got a problem with the rotor cuff, people check, you know, how you are with it. But if that's you've got any trouble with the shoulders, you don't want it there, just leave the hand normally. So, again, with this, as with all Pilates, you only go as deep as you like. We modify it. So you stand in Shizen posture. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you can go down deep. We're going to keep the Iyengar yoga principles of going no lower than knees and lama toes. You can go out wider with the feet and go deeper. You have horse riding stance. I would go no lower than knees and lama toes. Otherwise, stay higher. See what suits you. So from here, it doesn't really matter. It's just a bit of movement to add some instability to the pelvic floor within this Pilates one anyway. So from there, you're going to take the hand out to the sides, just make sort of like an S shape, and then come back as you're zipping up pelvic floor and scooping out abdominals. You're breathing through the nose and exhale through pursed lips. Again, you're just taking a hand out to the side, coming back and just swaying the body as much as you like. You can minimise the motion if you've really put your back or something. This is like the first port of call. If you've really put your back out, like basic, very basic exercises. But again, you can always sort of do it here, small motions, supporting the range, speed and tempo. You do bigger motions, you can sway more. I'd go no lower than your knees and arm and toes. You want to go deeper and wider, feel free. Again, you can just take the feet out. I wouldn't have them Charlie Chaplin. You can have them slightly out of V, horse riding stance, or shorter. Basically, just modify it to suit you. So we're gonna take the hand out, breathe in, and exhale for as long as you like. Hand goes out and then comes back down. Again, breathing through the nose whenever you like. Go out first and then come back. S-shape down. Again, I'm not really too specific on the motion. They do different, for reasons in the Qigong. Take the hand behind the back, a little bit more instability. And again, if you want to do bigger motions, you can do. Again, I'd go out to the side first, then come back in. Breathing through the nose, whenever you like, and really fire that exhale to throw on that corset for this instability. If you go deep, go deep. I'd keep your Iyengar yoga principles again, no lower than your knees and arm and toes. Remember, it's going to be a centimetre, a millimetre, or a foot. Nothing too specific on the breathing. Come out to the side. And exhale, nice forceful exhale, then S-shape back. Okay, again, I mean, movement's basic, just a bit of movement. Shoulders over hips, hand over shoulders, keep your shoulders down, gather in. Really fire that exhale, nice resonant out breath. Really fire that exhale. So again, that's like a cough or a sneeze. Remember this, that B-line, everything comes in towards the spine, same as that exhale. That's going to help you throw on that corset. Consciously do that anyway as you're doing this, but again, that exhale will help you do that. Keeping the shoulders down, lengthen up for the crown, shoulders down, and just really fire that exhale, that resonant out breath will work like a cough or a sneeze and help you gather in, zip up and scoop out your abdominal. Get that powerhouse, that girdle strength, 3 layers deep. Again, you've got that lumbar fascia, the back of the corset, helps that extension of the spine and supports the spine. But again, just a little bit of awareness. You don't have to have that awareness. All else fails, just suck in the belly button, zip up pelvic floor, and just keep that good alignment. Fire the exhale, shoulders down, lengthen up for the crown. Lovely. So that's the end of Yang hands from Qigong, the movement. We're just putting that Pilates breathing and emphasis with it. Well, we'll do it the traditional way when you breathe into belly like a balloon, but again, that was the Pilates mix version. Bang.